You think you're just organised, responsible, protective, efficient. But underneath that control, there's fear. Fear of chaos, fear of rejection, fear of being caught off guard again. Because when you've lived through emotional unpredictability, control becomes your shield. In this video, we're breaking down how control isn't always about power over others. Sometimes it's about trying to feel safe in a world that once made you feel very powerless. So let's look at what control really looks like. Control doesn't always look aggressive. It can look like taking, over-planning, hyper-independence. You're the one who keeps everything together, the one who double-checks, fixes, anticipates, prepares. You manage other people's emotions. You try to avoid surprises. You hate depending on anyone. Then you need to know the plan. You need to feel prepared. You need to minimize the risk at all costs. And you call it strength, but in truth, it's a trauma response. Because control for you equals safety. It's not about dominance, it's about reducing the risk of being abandoned, disappointed, or blindsided. You're not trying to control others because you're manipulative. You're trying to control your environment because you remember how it felt when things went wrong and no one was there. So let's look at where it starts. Control as a survival strategy usually begins in childhood. Maybe your home was a little chaotic or emotionally unstable. Maybe love came with conditions or wasn't safe at all. So you learnt to manage what you could. Your grades, your appearance, other people's moods, the energy in the room. You became hyper-attuned, over-responsible, the emotional adult in a house full of instability. You cleaned up the emotional mess so others wouldn't explode. You read their tone, their silence, their footsteps. You became a master of managing people to avoid becoming the target. And it worked, sort of. You kept things calm, you avoided punishments, you became the good one. But as you grew up, the habit stayed, and now instead of trusting people, you monitor them. Instead of being open, you control the narrative. Instead of allowing intimacy, you manage risk. And you learned, if I can control the outcome, I can prevent the pain. But that's not safety. That's self-protection, masquerading as personality. You didn't choose control because it was who you are. You chose control because it was the only way to survive what had happened to you. And now, you don't know how to let go, even when it's hurting you. So let's look at the cost of control. Let's talk about what it cost you. You struggle to relax unless everything is planned. You micromanage others in the name of helping. You secretly resent people who aren't as capable as you. You rarely feel joy in the moment because you're managing it all. You feel anxious when someone else takes the lead. And emotionally, you block closeness. You reject spontaneity. You stay disconnected from your own vulnerability. You fear losing control more than you fear losing connection. It's exhausting. You carry the weight of other people's failings, decisions, and moods. You try to make everything okay for everyone so that you don't have to feel the fear of chaos. But in doing that, you cut yourself off from true connection. Because the real intimacy isn't predictable. It's vulnerable, messy, and uncertain. And control doesn't leave space for that. It replaces connection with coordination. The truth is, control gives you predictability, but not connection. It keeps you safe, but it keeps you alone. And over time, that control cage becomes your comfort zone until you can't even tell what's real connection and what's just tolerated compliance. Let's look at how to let go without feeling unsafe. Letting go of control doesn't mean becoming reckless. It means learning to trust yourself, to handle what happens, even if it's messy. It means recognizing that control won't prevent pain, but it does prevent joy, spontaneity, love, softness. And here's how to start releasing it. Firstly, notice the tightness. Where in your life are you clenching too hard? Is it your schedule, your relationships, or your emotions? Start by observing where you can't breathe. That's where your control lives. Then, interrupt the pattern. Instead of jumping into a fix, pause and ask yourself, what happens if I don't? Let something become incomplete. Let someone else take the lead. See what actually happens. Then sit with uncertainty. Start small, let someone else make a plan. Don't double check. Don't hover. Notice how it feels, because it will be uncomfortable. But that discomfort is not danger, it's a detox. Then rewire your safety. Tell yourself, I can handle what comes. I don't need to prevent anything to be okay. Make your nervous system feel safe in stillness, not just in strategy. Then choose connection over perfection. Be present, not perfect. Let people see your mess. Let people meet the real you, even if they're unprepared. And remind yourself, you are allowed to be loved even when you're not holding it all together. So, in my closing comments, control is a beautiful short-term solution, but it's a brutal long-term identity. It makes you capable, competent, reliable, but it also makes you unavailable, unreachable, and emotionally overburdened. You've learnt to control everything to avoid being hurt. But the truth is, letting go isn't a weakness. It becomes a strength. It's how you finally become free. Let yourself exhale. You're safe to stop holding it all. The world won't collapse, and if it does, you're strong enough to rebuild. Not because you're in control, but because you are now whole.